Hello, and welcome to iRespond training. In this training video, we will demonstrate how to set up and run an iRespond student-paced session. To begin, open iRespond and enter your username and password. Once logged in to the iRespond session setup, we will show you the necessary fields to complete prior to running a session. Before running any session within iRespond, you must have first created a class roster, a test bank or test key, and also collected your remote devices. To begin a student-paced session, on the top left of your session properties, select Student Paced. Select your class roster, which will be taking this test. In this example, I will be using a demo pin class. Select your test bank or test key, which you will be administering today. In this example, I will be using the demo test key for the student-paced session. And also select your group of remotes which your students will be using. On the bottom left of the session setup screen, click Start. At this point, please power on your iRespond base unit. Once your iRespond base unit has powered on, click Next. Here, your students will begin powering on and logging in to their remotes. So have your students power on their remotes and log into their remotes by typing in their individual PIN number, which you set up with their class roster, and pressing Send. In this training video, I have 4 remotes assigned to 4 students. Once your students are accounted for, click Finish. And this is your student-paced session. On the left side, we have our users, which we see Bud with the PIN number of 2 currently has a 0%. As your students begin answering, these percentages will be collected live. In the session progress window, we have individual question performance, along with the correct answer designated, as well as how your students have answered that question. Again, this information is collected live. On the bottom right of the question results window, we have individual question performance, showing how each question has been answered. Let's take a look at your remotes. On the remotes, we can see that the top line has 2 numbers. The first number on the top left of your remote shows a number which the student is currently on. On the top right shows a number of total questions in the test. In this example, we have the student on question 1 of 10 total questions. In your student-paced session, your students will be keeping track of what number they are on by seeing on their remote. As your students begin typing in the answer and designating answers to questions, their answer will display on the second line of the remote. So let's see what the session looks like as your students begin answering. We see this live data is collected as your students answer the questions, and we can see how each student has answered on each question. We can also see that one student has left their question unanswered. As the student has answered their test, all of their names will appear, as well as the percent of the class that got it correct and the percent of the class that has got it incorrect. On the bottom of the question results window, we see that 3 people answered A and 1 person answered B. Let's let your students finish the test. Okay, we can see now that the test has been completed and all of your students have answered their questions. So on the left side, we see everyone's individual score within the test. In the middle, we see the individual performance on individual questions. Also given is the students that have answered which options. And on the bottom, we can scroll through each individual test question and see which options were chosen within the class. On your students' remotes, once they have finished their test, they will have an option that says log out. Once your students have logged out, you will notice that the I next to their names has now turned to an X, showing that their remotes have been logged out and they are no longer participating in the session. At this point, if you are wanting to run reports on the class, a set of students, or an individual student, you can do that using the Report button. To select all of the students, use the Select All button and use the Report button. To select individual students, select Student and use the Report button. Now that the session has ended and you need to close the session, we will use the File Exit button, where iRespond will now ask a few questions. Do you really want to exit? Yes, we do. Do you want to save this session to a log? What this allows is for you to go back later and edit, view, or run reports on these sessions. So we are going to click Yes. Start another session, keeping the current users online. This will allow your remotes and your base unit to stay powered on, returning you to a session setup screen, which will allow you to simply choose a new test to perform on the same group of students and remotes. In this example, we will click No. Your remotes and base unit will automatically power off, and we're prompted with, do we want to start a new session? Yes. Now we will save the session that we just completed. Type in a name to save the session as, and click OK. And you have been returned to the iRespond session setup. We will go over reviewing and running reports on that previous session that we saved to a log in later videos. To continue your iRespond training, please see our subsequent videos. Thank you.